For most people in their neighborhood, Harold and Lillian Carter were the kind of grandparents everyone trusted instantly. Early 70s, soft-spoken, always dressed neatly, they lived a quiet life built on routine and dignity. Mornings meant coffee on the porch, afternoons meant small errands, and weekends were reserved for family calls and photos of their son in uniform, the one thing they were proudest of. That day felt no different. They left home together, moving slowly but steadily, talking about groceries and the weather like they always did. The store was familiar, the aisles predictable, the kind of place where nothing ever seemed to go wrong. People passed by without noticing, carts rolling, fluorescent lights humming overhead. Harold paused to compare prices, while Lillian reached for a small item from a shelf, careful and deliberate. Ordinary moments, the kind that fade into memory before they even happen. But then something shifted. A glance lingered too long. A whisper traveled across the aisle. The air tightened in a way that didn't make sense at first. They hadn't raised their voices, hadn't broken any rules, hadn't done anything at all. Yet somewhere nearby, someone was already watching, already deciding, already preparing to act. And within minutes, that quiet routine, the life they had built over decades, was about to collide with a suspicion they couldn't outrun. The tension built quickly. Footsteps echoed behind them, purposeful and sharp. A voice cut through the low hum of the store, firm and accusing. Heads turned. Conversation stopped. Suddenly, all eyes were on Harold and Lillian. Confusion washed over them first, then fear. They hadn't taken anything, hadn't done anything wrong, yet the way people stared made it feel like guilt had already been decided. An employee whispered to another. Someone pointed, and then uniforms appeared. The presence alone changed everything. The officers moved in with authority, their expressions tight, their tone cold and certain. Questions came fast, sharp, leaving no room to breathe. Harold tried to steady himself, his hands slightly raised, his mind scrambling to understand how an ordinary trip had turned into something so heavy. Lillian felt her chest tighten, her heart thudding painfully as the weight of the moment pressed down on her. People were watching, phones slowly lifting, capturing every second. The whispers grew louder now, judgment hanging in the air like smoke. Every second stretched. Every glance felt like an accusation. And the deeper the moment unfolded, the clearer it became. This wasn't just a misunderstanding. It was something darker. Something they had spent their whole lives learning to fear. The moment spiraled out of control in seconds. One officer stepped closer, reaching for Harold's wrists as if the decision had already been made. The crowd pressed in, phones raised, whispers growing louder. Lillian's chest tightened, her breath shallow as fear settled deep into her bones. This wasn't confusion anymore. It was humiliation, unfolding in front of strangers who watched like it was entertainment. Harold's mind raced, heart pounding so hard it drowned out everything else. He felt the weight of years. Every story, every warning, every moment people like him had been treated as guilty before proven innocent. His body stiffened, not from defiance, but from the terrifying knowledge that one wrong move could turn this into something far worse. The officer's grip tightened. Lillian's hands trembled as she reached toward Harold, her eyes pleading, searching for something, anything, that would make this stop. But the room felt colder now, heavy with judgment and silence. No one stepped forward. No one questioned what was happening. Outside, the sudden roar of an engine cut through the tension. A car door slammed. Boots hit the pavement with purpose, fast and heavy. The energy shifted instantly, like a storm changing direction. The officers hesitated for the first time, their focus breaking as a tall figure moved through the entrance with controlled urgency. Every eye turned. He moved straight toward Harold and Lillian, posture rigid, expression locked in disbelief, and fury held tightly beneath the surface. The room seemed to freeze around him as recognition began to ripple across faces. First confusion, then unease. The officers paused, their certainty cracking. And in that moment, everything changed. Because the man stepping forward wasn't just another bystander. He was their son, and he wasn't arriving as a witness. He was arriving as a Marine who knew exactly what injustice looked like. The tension didn't disappear all at once. It slowly unraveled as truth replaced suspicion. The accusations faded, the officers stepping back, their certainty dissolving under the weight of what had nearly happened. Harold and Lillian were no longer seen as suspects, but the damage had already settled deep inside them. They left the store that day together, but nothing felt the same. The routine they trusted, the simple errands that once felt safe, now carried a quiet fear. Lillian's hand still trembled long after the moment passed. Harold walked slower, his shoulders heavier, not from age, but from the reminder that dignity can be stripped away in seconds. Their son stood beside them, a symbol of discipline, service, and sacrifice. He had dedicated his life to protecting a country that had just failed to protect the people who raised him. And that realization lingered longer than the incident itself. Because this wasn't just about one afternoon. It wasn't just about one store, one accusation, or one family. It was about a pattern that repeats in different cities, different neighborhoods, different lives. Ordinary people forced to prove their innocence. Families marked by fear instead of safety. Moments that leave scars no one else can see. Harold and Lillian went home that day, but they carried the weight of being seen as a threat for simply existing. And their story became another reminder of how quickly humanity can be overlooked when prejudice takes control. The question is no longer whether these moments happen. We know they do. The real question is how many more families must endure the same humiliation before something truly changes, and who will choose to stand up when it happens again.